Good morning. My name is Lynn Maria Smith. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Trustees for the Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome. I'm going to make just a few announcements, but just so as a reminder, every Thursday the Community Connections comes out on your email, and that gives you all the information, all the dates, a lot of details. Community Connections, Thursday emails, check them out. Just a reminder. We have a fall fundraising festival coming up on Saturday, November 1st. It's our big fundraiser, and it will consist of a live auction. It will feature homemade items showcasing the talents of our members by way of arts and crafts and baked goods. We will also be selling new items, and we have a very robust raffle planned. And in conjunction with this festival, Jeannie Coates is selling her masks at the back of the sanctuary. All of them are one of a kind. She's not here today, but either Catherine or Debbie Serto will be happy to take payments for those. So the festival's on November 1st, so it's the day after Halloween, so these masks, we're trying to, it'd be fun, wouldn't it, to open the door to trick-or-treaters and have one of those fabulous masks peek out from behind the door. So if you have items to donate, the forms are on the back table. The deadline for turning the forms in is October 19th, 2 weeks from today. And give those to Debbie Skirtle also. And they're also receiving the items now. So if you have items that you're donating, Debbie and Catherine will accept them on Sundays. And also Brenda in the office will accept them on Thursdays and Fridays from 8 to 2. So you can bring them by and drop them off there too. And just a reminder, bring your animals next week. It's a blessing of the animals. Fun. And today, you're invited after service to join us in conversation to a listening circle about paths we're going to take forward as Reverend Maggie retires and the congregation steps forward as lay-led. So that'll be here in the sanctuary. We'll take a 10-minute break for coffee and cookies, have that, and then after that, at 12:30, we have a spectacular performance. I got a little sneak peek of it last week. They were practicing. Ooh, we're in for a big treat. 3 performers, they're calling it Celestial Songs, Lily Popova, April Fussell, and Maggie Worsley. And they definitely sounded divine and heavenly. So the title is good. And there'll be a reception afterwards with appetizers, champagne, beer and wine. And this is a fundraiser. So Murray will be collecting, he'll be walking around with the bag for if you'd like to make a donation for that. Really looking forward to that. And that's it. So now I'd like to introduce and welcome our minister, Reverend Maggie Yenoki.
Thank you. Thanks, Lynn Maria. And we didn't talk about this before, but it might be appropriate to put a little pause in our listening circles for today, because we do have the concert. And I'd hate to get into it, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this, but it was only in my head, and you were supposed to read my mind. Sorry. Sorry, so I apologize. So let's just put a pause on the listening circles for this week, only because if we get into something deep, we're going to, I just don't want it to cause a problem with the concert, so, okay? And we have this fun tradition here at Monte Vista that on the first Sunday of each month, we sing happy birthday to everyone who has a birthday that month. So who's our October babies? Come on. Oh. Anjali. You have a birthday every month. I love it. That's great. You want to be you're about 40 now, right? Yeah. No October babies. Well, we'll sing to the ones that are out in the world. So we're good. Oh, Lynn Shable, yay. What day? Not today, is it?
Tuesday the 7th.
Tuesday, yeah. Great. So when we get to the part of the song where you sing the name, we can all sing Lynn Shable, or we'll sing October Babies, but make Lynn Shable really loud, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. us on the blessing of the animals next week. If you have an animal that is not quite as well behaved as you had hoped, please remember they need to be leashed and well behaved. So if you choose, you could just bring a picture of them instead. And there will also be an element of our service where we honor our beloved pets that have crossed the Rainbow Bridge. So if you do have a picture or a collar or even the ashes of one of your beloved pets that's no longer living, please feel free to bring that too. We're going to make it a part of the service. And as we open our service this morning, we dedicate our first words to honor the Tongva and other native peoples on whose ancestral homelands we are gathered this morning. We offer our recognition of the ongoing harms to all life that are caused by colonization, and we hold hope for any mending that can come. For yesterday, we call to the ancestors of this faith, of our blood and family lines, and of each of our hearts. And on this present day, we send a safe, warm welcome to all those gathered here, those who are joining us online, and those who will watch the recording, those who wish they could join us as we link arms to build a legacy here for those who will come. And for tomorrow, we are holding this faith dear. We're learning, growing, messing up sometimes, and serving as we prepare a place for our descendants, and we await your arrival. And together, all of the people said 3 times, thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful. Part of my seminary education was to do a cross-cultural adventure, and I went to Ghana. Yeah, I was there like half the month of January, and that song really does capture the spirit of the people there. It's incredible, so thank you for singing it. In many, many corners of our lives, we have shared rituals that unite our lives as people of a living, liberal faith. We light a chalice at each of our gatherings that represents the spirit, the values, and the rich history of Unitarian Universalism. It's a flame that offers us belonging, holds us in community, and invites us to center our lives in justice, love, and service. As April and Anjali Chakshi come forward to light our chalice, don't forget to light the one for the kids too. Let's hear the words of our UU regional staff contact, Reverend Summer Abayadi. It's called a chalice lighting for liminal times. In betwixt and in between, we move in the liminal spaces that show shades of what can become, what can be. We light this chalice as a symbol of courage to move into that time of this and that, and not this and not that, with patience and faith and love and hope that this time will pass like the sun that moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. And so may it be. I invite you to stand now as we sing our anthem, our invocation, Spirit of Life. First time through in English and then in Spanish. And then together we'll recite our covenant.
Ooh.
love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian, Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Please be seated as our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, that's a mouthful, comes to give us our wisdom tale.
Yeah, that's one thing about Unitarian Universalists. We like long titles. Good morning, everybody. Today's story is called Learning in Community, and it's by Takia Nur Amin. It opens with a quote from the Beatles. "Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends." So many people I know want to do better, be different, quit smoking, and so on, what have you. I have always wondered what kind of community they have to help them. For example, maybe you want to be a different mama than the way your mama mamaed. But if you're not part of a community that's going to hold you accountable and support you, you'll end up back at factory settings. For most people, it's just what it is to be human. When I was preparing to defend my PhD dissertation, my program advisor took me aside. "Before we schedule your defense, I want you to go home and draw the theoretical section of your project." I said, "Excuse me?" "You can do it however you like, computer or crayons," he said, "but focus on the methodological section." I was mad. I'd already poured so much into the process, and frankly, the assignment felt like silly busy work to me. But I went home, got out the colored pencils, and began to draw my project, and realized that I'd made a huge mistake in my research design. It could have tanked my dissertation. I wouldn't have caught it without my advisor's suggestion. I needed that challenge, that loving joust. In fact, all my years in graduate school taught me how much I needed the collective body, the experience of other people to help me make sense of what I was reading and discerning. Putting me in a room and reading everything on the shelf wouldn't have done it. It was being challenged by others that helped me refine my ideas. Iron sharpens iron. As a UU, I need the balance of accountability and support that comes only from being in deep relationship with others. I'm proud that our faith is covenantal, where the evidence of our beliefs is demonstrated in our relationships, and not confessional, where the evidence of belief is in the words professed in the public square. Sure, accountability can be difficult. We don't always prefer to be challenged by others or required to confront our growing edges. Relationships of accountability and support, the challenge and the nurturing, can make us feel like we're wasting our time. Ultimately, however, the relationships shape us in meaningful and powerful ways that call us to grow, to do better, and to be our best selves. And now, you guys can sing us to our class. If the kids will come up and get the chalice, we'll go and learn how to be a little better.
Have a great time, you guys. See you later. Ooh, look at all the kiddies we've got today. Whole parade. Have fun. And thank you to each and every one of you for your many kind and generous gifts that add essential elements to our congregation's well-being. Every gift we bring increases our strength, nourishes our growth, and secures our sustainability. As a contribution to the sustainability of our neighbors' lives, we gather donations of non-perishable foods that are distributed through the Foothill Family Center. Also, We voted and agreed to donate 50% of our gathered offerings that are not earmarked as your pledge with a charity that aligns with our values. So for the month of October, we've chosen to share our offering plate with Inland Abundant Housing. In partnership with Housing Claremont and Abundant Housing LA, Inland Abundant Housing serves the Inland Valley as a donor-supported 501c3 nonprofit comprised of volunteers who advocate for the construction of new homes at all levels of affordability. Through our support, we are helping to alleviate California's housing shortage and affordability crisis. And it is with gratitude for the many gifts of this community that we invite you to bring forward your generous offerings to be placed in the basket and your donations of non-perishable foods for the Foothill Family Center, which can be placed in our wagon. And offerings of the community will now be graciously given and gratefully received. Lily. We are in for a treat today, folks. Thank you so much, Lily. I have so much joy and a little bit of sorrow. That's how life is. I love Reverend Ellen, how she always says, I forget who she's quoting, Robert Blake maybe, joy and woe are woven fine. It's a poem.
One of our hymns.
Yeah, but the author, I was trying to remember. I think it's an Irish poet, but not John O'Donohue. I'll look it up later. Robert Blake. We do like him. So let me start with a joy. And Paula brought this to my attention a couple weeks ago, and we didn't squeeze it in. But Paula loves the New York Times Magazine. And she receives it by mail, right? Or do you picked it up in the bookstore or wherever? Oh, they bring it right to you, okay. So she does the puzzles, and she got this one completely done. Good job. So when she was doing the puzzle for this issue, she reads who wrote it. The person that designed this puzzle's name is Adrienne Bulk, and she's a student at Harvey Mudd College. So from here to New York City to make the New York Times Magazine, back to Paula's driveway, and then over here. Incredible. She's in the class of 2027, majoring in chemistry and climate. So yay, right? But she can also make puzzles. Unbelievable. I want to meet this girl. So thank you, Paula. Thank you so much for that, and I'm glad you shared that joy that you had. I've got a couple to read to you that are really important. This one's exciting, too, from Echo. Echo writes that Brooklyn's first physical therapy session was amazing. The first goal is to help loosen her ankles so she can jump, bend, and run, and help her balance. Thank you for your prayers. They will continue. Yeah, we're thrilled. I got a couple here from Jill. Jill says, my good friend Marcy asks for prayers. She has unexplained pain in her arms and legs. So we hold Marcy in our thoughts. And also prayers for my brother-in-law Billy, who is in the hospital regarding his sugar. Sure. Yeah, sorry, Jill. Carrying a lot there. So this is one that hits a little closer to home, but it's got a pretty good ending. Bob Taylor had a fall earlier this week, and he went for an x-ray the next day when the pain did not subside. The image revealed that he had broken his hip. Yep, so he and Megan are awaiting discharge home following his successful hip surgery on Friday morning at the Kaiser Hospital in Fontana. They are both deeply grateful for everyone's affection and good care of their spirits at this super unusually difficult time. Just, we thought everything was enough. What's the word? What's the Italian word? Basta. Stop. Couple other things, just to add to our pot that's always stirring. Our partnership congregation in the Kalapayan community on the island of Negros, Philippines, is reporting no damage or injuries in a string of 3 natural disasters this past week. As you may have seen in the world news broadcast, the Philippines was hit by 2 typhoons, and most recently a magnitude 6.9 earthquake with an epicenter in the Cebu province, which is not far from the island of Negros, right next to it, actually. Basta, yeah. So Reverend Armand, our good friend, and he's the church administrator for the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines in Dumaguete, he sent out this report. We are lucky that we're safe here in Negros, but it's heartbreaking to see the devastation caused in Cebu. Our congregations report that, except for mild dizziness, members sustained no injuries and had no damage to their homes. Some stayed a bit longer outside because of their fear of the aftershocks. And one more. This one comes from Janet James, and some of you may have received this in your email if you're a regular donor to our camp up at the Beneville Pines. Janet writes, "Deep thanks to many of you for your loving wishes sent to camp during and after the powerful rainstorm on Thursday, September 18th. The thunderous storm just stalled on the peaks above camp, and we were deluged for hours. Highway 38 sustained serious damage and is closed between Angeles Oaks and Jenks Lake West. Caltrans has stated it will take months to do the repairs necessary and reopen the road. But we do have access to camp through Big Bear via Highway 330 to Running Springs, and then through Big Bear and on to Highway 38, the long way around, but we can get there. So there's a lot that just keeps happening, and I'm so glad we have each other, and we have this place, and we can share our lives and our frustration and our hopes and our joys, as simple as a crossword puzzle author. But we hold on to those things because those are the things that help us to stay in balance so that we can be of service to those who are really in difficult struggles. And there are a lot that are happening in this very room that haven't been mentioned. So please be kind to yourself. I think of something I just learned recently that I'm remembering for myself. Let's do a reverse golden rule and love yourself as much as you would treat, in the same way you would treat someone that you love. So now I invite you into a spirit of prayer that will lead us into our time of meditation and some shared silence. And Lily will gently guide us out of our time of meditation as we sing together. But first I offer you this beautiful prayer as we open that time. And it was written by our own beloved Catherine Rowley. Love eternal, we give thanks for your presence among us, and companions gone before and companions still to come, in the sympathy of friends in times of grief, and in the unspoken understanding that goes deeper than words, enabling us to believe that even when we feel we are most separate, we are not alone, for we remain related to all that is, as parts within the whole, connected to each other and to you, great mystery of life.
Reading today is Our Sacred Fire by Elizabeth Harding. People have always known that fire was special. Long, long ago, before people made matches or candles or even made houses, people knew that fire was special. There was the great fire in the sky, the sun, which made the earth warm and made night into day. And there were the smaller fires that people made, fires that cooked their food and kept them warm and brought them light. People honored the fires because fire was special. Fire was more than human. Fire has power. It can create and it can destroy. It can bring light and it can burn. It can create and it can destroy. Fire can be wonderful and fire can be terrible. We have to be careful with fire. And so people thought that fire was sacred and holy. Some people even worshiped fire and said that fire was a deity, like a goddess or a god. Other people said fire wasn't actually the deity, but just meant that the deity was there. No matter what they believed, people all over the world gave fire a special place in their religions. They had fires in their homes, of course, to cook food and keep warm, and they also had sacred fires in their temples. They set sacred lamps on their altars. They lit sacred bonfires outside on the hilltops and in the groves. They placed sacred torches near the graves of those who died. We still do this today. In Washington, D.C., near the tomb of the unknown soldier, there burns an eternal flame that never goes out. In churches at Christmas time, many Christians light 4 candles on an Advent wreath. During the 8 days of Hanukkah, Jews light the 8 candles of the menorah. At Diwali, Hindus set small lamps all around the house. And when Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. This is our sacred fire.
Perfect. 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 Also, you know what else is perfect? I happen to open my, I have the Zoom, the folks that are joining us in our Zoom, we call it the Zoom sanctuary. And I look at who's there, and I see Bruce Mount. So he's waving to us, and Jeannie, Jaryus, is it possible that you can put the gang up? There they are. There's Bruce. And maybe change my camera so that the folks on Zoom can see the congregation. Is that possible? Look at him. What a talented AV tech we have. So everyone waved. Meg's there, and Bruce, and Jeannie, and Kim, and a bunch of folks with their camera off. So we're waving to you too. But Bruce, it is such a blessing to see you. Thank you for being here with us today. Keep healing. Keep healing. Okay. Yeah. Yes, and Meg. Meg as well. We're going to hook Meg up with Bob Taylor so he can know. They both have the same. Yeah. George and I enjoy our little tradition of displaying the birthday cards we receive on our dining table, which is right in the center of our home, till about a week after the birthday passes. But there was one card sent to George by his friend Susan that arrived a few days after his September 15th birthday. So it got held over, and I haven't quite been able to send it off to the recycler yet. It became an instant favorite for me because of its synchronicity with the topic of the sermon I was preparing for today. It's from the Advice from Nature line of products from a company known as Your True Nature, based in Fort Collins, Colorado. Maybe some of you are familiar with them. Susan's card captures advice from a glacier, which might include a slight teasing reference for George about becoming ancient and very slow-moving. That's what I think there is in here hidden. But the advice that it offers says, advice from a glacier, carve your own path, go slow, channel your strengths, smooth the way for others, keep moving, avoid meltdowns, and be cool. So yeah. Some of the advice they share on their other products come from many sources, such as advice from a bear, take a good long nap, and look after your honey. And advice from the earth, think globally and be good to your mother. And advice from a tree, go out on a limb, but remember your roots. I bought a coffee mug as a gift for George when we were up in Yosemite that said, enjoy life's peaks and valleys, keep a sense of wonder, expand your horizons, and be inspiring. All good advice. The folks at Your True Nature have shared some pretty good advice through their products, and they've touched many lives and brought smiles and a fresh way of thinking to many people, and they've impacted the world with their vision and their passion. And while our faith is overflowing with good advice to share, it might take us a bit of time to agree on the final copy, but one thing for sure, the advice we give and the advice we seek is as unique and individuated as each one of us is. But the most important point that we can all agree on is advice is best when it's requested. Unsolicited advice, even from a loving source, can bring unintended harm. But let's imagine together one source where we as Unitarian Universalists can seek good advice together that warms and strengthens each of us at our center. It harmonizes and weaves our spiritual journeys, and it shines our light out into the world. And the answer has been here all along. Advice from a chalice. Our chalice has some good advice for us this morning. Keep fuel in your lamp. Don't say too much, and make meaning and light the way. So let's listen a little deeper to these three things that our chalice advises us about. Keep fuel in your lamp. If you don't take care of your spirit, your light will grow dim. If you grew up in a Christian tradition, or may have been a student of the Christian scriptures, you may be familiar with the parable of the wise and foolish virgins in the book of Matthew, chapter 25. In that narrative, some of the light bearers waiting to meet the bridegroom prepared extra fuel for their lamps, and others ran out of fuel before their duties were complete. Those who had plenty of oil did not feel they had enough to share, so those who were in need were left in the dark. This parable reveals a community made up of haves and have-nots. And although they may not provide us answers for our individual situations today, it leaves a responsible conversation open for us. How much fuel or life force energy do we have in store for our own well-being? And what do we do to replenish our supply? Do we feel that we're being selfish and deny ourselves the time we truly need to connect with our own life source energies, our gods and goddess, to refresh our spirits? Do you schedule time with the divine? I find I must, or it gets used up with other chores. But our chalice advises us to put our appointment with your spiritual practice on your calendar and maybe set your iPhone to play a reminder chime to prod you. How much of our fuel do we dare share with those who need us? By giving away the energy that we each individually bring, do we find we have less? Or do we find that because we're helping others, we actually need less? Caring for others does take energy, but at the same time, it can nourish us to serve others. We're energized and happy when we can be of service and make a difference to those who are struggling. But how do we monitor our own level of fuel? Do we wait until we become cranky or lose our temper before we realize we need to fill our tank? The answers for how to find balance and build the resilience we need in order to live well in community and serve one another takes self-awareness, wisdom, and discipline. We are all called to know ourselves well and to be willing to dedicate ourselves to the spiritual practices that we need to keep our own inner chalices lit for ourselves, for one another. In a way, it takes constant monitoring. Sometimes we forget, and it takes us getting sick in order to hear the message that we need to say no more often and maybe get more rest. Or sometimes it takes the frustrated words of a spouse or a child or a friend who says to us that we're always too busy for them, to understand that we're burning up too much fuel. We might be misdirecting our attention. And sometimes we're overwhelmed by awful things that we didn't ask for, that come crashing into our lives anyway. They can wipe us out entirely. We can find ourselves far from where we want to be. But when our own light goes out, blown by a sudden storm or a disaster that leaves us without any fuel, it's then the resilience of this community can fuel our lamp. The relationships that we build here and the life that we share together through all of the ups and downs that we're experiencing fuels each of our lamps. And our Chalice's advice to keep fuel in our lamp is pretty good advice. So is the second point. Bring a gift of silent, non-anxious presence. The rich history and image of the flaming chalice has been a sign of meaningful presence to Unitarians since the early 1940s, and to our UU tradition since the Association of Congregations was formed in 1961. The meaningful stories of its inception never grow old. Hans Deutsch was a European artist in the 40s who often drew political cartoons that were critical of Adolf Hitler. Deutsch was asked by Reverend Charles Joy, who was then the executive director of the Unitarian Service Committee, to create a symbol or a logo that would represent the spirit of their work and increase the appeal of their correspondence and their documents. As Reverend Joy expressed in his writing to the board in Boston, the ink and penciled image was a chalice like the Greeks and Romans put on their altars, with holy oil burning in it as a symbol of helpfulness and sacrifice. Joy and Deutsch worked together as founding members of what is now the UUSC, originally formed for the specific purpose of helping the oppressed escape Nazi persecution. From its origin, the chalice has been a silent and meaningful presence that stood for liberation and a life of service. Without making a sound in any spoken language, the flame and its holder gave an inspiring message of hope to each and every soul who saw its glowing presence lighting the way to freedom. The example of silent presence that comes from our chalice as advice calls us to be agents of freedom as well. We are called to free those who seek to be relieved of oppression, no matter how that is manifested in their lives. And it's not always required that we be the loudest voices in order to do that work. There are often many words of advice spoken: do this, do that, vote for me, don't vote for them. And there's advice that can be harmful. And it only represents the words of those in power. But when we sit in silence and discern, we can see if the advice that we know is true and good is sought and needed. And it is always true that advice that has worked for you might not be good for another. The advice from our chalice is to be a silent light filled with non-anxious presence and create the space for us to answer that quite well. For me, the image of the chalice has lit the way to my freedom many times. But what does the silent presence of the flaming chalice mean to you? And that brings us to our third bit of advice. Make meaning and light the way as we each seek the truth that passes the test of reason, justice, and compassion. While the flaming chalice has been the official logo for the UUSC, the UUA, and many of our congregations for 80 years, the meaning and interpretation of the flaming chalice is not officially set. We're free to create the meaning that best reflects our values as it moves us to live out our individual lives and create a legacy for our UU faith in our broken world. The meaning of the chalice is as individual as each of us that embraces it. The magic about that is there's not any one deep secret that we must search for or study to receive. Its meaning is alive and welcoming, and it's ever-changing, and it's here with us each time we light it together. It's here to remind us that we are each creators of the meaning that we bring into our own life experiences. So what meaning does the flaming chalice bring to you? Is the chalice that you carry inside you the chalice that you are, giving good, meaningful advice to you and to those you love and to others? The chalice's advice to make meaning and light the way is powerful, and it brings deep purpose to our individual experience, to our connection as members of this liberal religious tradition, and as our example to the world of being a people of compassionate, resilient, faithful living. Our ability to make meaning is something that we all reach for when troubles come, to us or to another. So let's remember the advice from our chalice, and may we care for ourselves and tend to the fuel of our inner chalice. As they always tell us on the plane, put your own mask on first. May our light shine as a steady, quiet force of powerful, meaningful presence at home, here among our faith family, and out in our community. May our hearts and minds remain open, bringing forth meaningful, compassionate justice into this world that is so broken, and a world that we are so grateful for. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Let's stand and sing out with you. Got the choir to back us up. We don't sing this very often, but I love when we do. It's got such a great energy. We're going to sing Lean on Me. Good job, everyone. And let's read our unison benediction together as we bless one another. As our time together closes, and we extinguish our chalice flame, we ask its light to shine through us, to illuminate the darkness of our world, and light the way forward for all of us. Let's sit for a moment and enjoy the postlude. just a short time, we will gift ourselves with the incredible music of Lily Popova.